Well, joining me now, we have Democratic Congresswoman-elect Sarah McBride of Delaware. She will become the first openly transgender member of Congress. So, Congresswoman-elect, welcome. It's nice to have you on the show for the first time. So let's talk about one of your top campaign issues, which was the expansion of health care. What do you make of Donald Trump's pick for RFK Jr. as head of Health and Human Services?
Well, they're clearly not sending their best. We all know that RFK Jr. peddles in conspiracy theories, but beyond all of that, he's simply unqualified to manage a department with a $1.6 trillion budget, a department that not only protects public health, but administers Medicare and Medicaid, critical benefits that Americans rely on to get health coverage and to stay healthy. So having someone like RFK in the leadership of a critical department is going to grind that department to a halt. It's going to undermine benefits and programs that American workers, retirees, and families rely on. And it's going to have, sadly, dangerous consequences for the American people. It's one of the reasons why the Senate must step up to fulfill its constitutional advise and consent responsibilities, to hold the Trump-Vance administration accountable, and to guarantee that these dangerous and unqualified nominees do not get these positions.
Now, former Congressman and now Democratic Governor of Colorado, Jared Polis, said on X that he is excited by RFK's appointment. He wrote, "He helped us defeat vaccine mandates in Colorado in 2019 and will help make America healthy again by shaking up HHS and FDA." And then he later clarified in a post that while he and his family are vaccinated and, quote, "the science-backed decision to get vaccinated improves public health and safety," he continued, "If, as a country, we follow the science, we would also be far more concerned about the impact of pesticides on public health, AG policy on nutrition, and the lack of access to prescription drugs due to drug high prices." How do you interpret what he's saying there? Is he potentially whitewashing what RFK Jr. is really hoping to achieve?
There's no question that we have to hold polluters and those who would poison our environment accountable. There's no question that we have to hold pharmaceutical companies accountable and bring down the cost of prescription drugs for the American people, something that Democrats did when we had control of the federal government. But that's not what RFK represents. What RFK represents are dangerous conspiracy theories that could lay the foundation not just for individual Americans to get sick or ill, but could lay the foundation for another pandemic here in this country and globally at a time when Americans are thankfully finally through COVID-19.
So RFK Jr. has repeatedly and absurdly claimed that chemicals in our water are changing children's sexuality and gender identity. Pete Hegseth, Trump's Secretary of Defense pick, has said being transgendered in the military causes complications and differences. Donald Trump said in his second term he will pull providers out of Medicare and Medicaid for offering gender transition care to minors and will purge from the federal government anything deemed to promote transgender identity. What impact will the next Trump administration have on the LGBTQ community beyond the surge of calls to crisis hotlines that have been happening since his election?
There's no question that this incoming administration will seek to undermine freedoms for Americans of all backgrounds, including LGBTQ people. Look, this is a weird and bizarre obsession with trans people on the part of the Republican Party. And I agree with Republican governors who, when presented with the spate of anti-LGBTQ bills passed in state legislatures across the country, said these are solutions in search of a problem. And that's what we have to be crystal clear about moving forward. Because whenever you see a politician or a political party focus in on an issue that impacts a handful of people in a handful of places, you have to ask yourself why. And the answer to that is they are trying to distract. They are trying to distract from what they are actually doing. And over the next 4 years, every single time we see any member of the Trump-Vance administration talk about trans people, talk about immigrants, talk about Muslims, talk about any vulnerable group in this country, look what they're doing with their right hand. Because I can guarantee you at that same moment, they are working to pick the pockets of American workers. They're working to fleece seniors by privatizing Social Security and Medicare. They're working to undermine the critical programs and benefits that Americans of every background and every political persuasion rely on to just get through the day. And that's what these efforts are. They are an effort to distract from the real issues that are plaguing this country and to distract from what Donald Trump and J.D. Vance will do with their nearly unchecked power.
All right, Congresswoman-elect Sarah McBride of Delaware, congratulations on your win, and I know we'll be speaking with you certainly over the next couple of years. Thank you so much.